So this is the VIIO. We're fairly proud of this. This is our now third generation of the studio, but it's very different from our usual studio machines. We've basically, through the years of speaking to our customers about what they liked about the studio machines, what they didn't like about the studio machines, we've kind of conglomerated every piece of advice and request
Feedback,
of all of our feedback really, and kind of just laid all of it out on the machine and basically done everything.
Hey everybody, this is Dan from Slice Engineering. I'm here with Jason from BigRep. Super excited to be here in the BigRep booth and learn more about what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
So,
thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
Very excited, yeah.
tell me a little bit about BigRep, what you guys are doing, and kind of what's happening in the market right now.
Yeah, so this is actually a pretty important year for us because this is actually our 10-year anniversary.
Oh,
so,
wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's a huge milestone in the additive industry.
Absolutely, so it's something that we're really excited, and I think a really great time to not only launch one product, but two products as well at the same time. So, for us, we've having been in the additive industry for 10 years, main focus in large format is to provide industrial, open, as well as automated machines as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So 2 products being launched at the same time.
Yeah.
One sort of from the Hage engineering team, right? That's kind of working with you guys now. One from the BigRep team. Talk to me about the Hage BigRep partnership and what that looks like and what it means for you guys long term.
Yeah, absolutely. So, particularly for us in North America, the North America team, it couldn't come at, like I said, a better time. Just because for us the partnership really means the ability to cover multiple applications for our customers, right? So now we're able to really tell customers we can cover any application from your standard thermoplastics all the way up to high performance thermoplastics, all with a single platform, right? So those that have been familiar with the BigRep brand and have either adopted our products already, it'll be that much easier for them to feel comfortable with the new, with the new high performance. So I think that partnership is going to come in handy and really has shown here at Rapid this year. It's been awesome to have a lot of those conversations with customers. Yeah,
absolutely. You guys are at a great spot in terms of the booth and clearly getting a lot of traffic through here, which is exciting.
Yeah.
The machines are beautiful, and that's always a good thing, draws attention. They look really, really nice. You guys have a good industrial designer, obviously.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we put a lot of work into it, and the booth itself and the story behind it, like I mentioned, open, right? So we wanted the booth to also feel open as well, right? To sort of give that feeling of when you partner with BigRep, there are limitless opportunities for kind of what you could do, right? And so it's just a way of tying it back into, again, the open platform, right? So not keeping any sort of restrictions for our customers, right? There's tons of things that they know that we don't, so we want to be able to give them and empower them to choose what's best for their company and their application.
That's awesome. Yeah, application focus is obviously really important. Can you talk to me maybe about what some of your customers are using your machines for? What are some of the applications?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'll start with some of the industries. So we're seeing a lot of adoption in automotive, aerospace, very common with additive manufacturing, but particularly with some of our 1 meter cube products like the BigRep 1 or even the BigRep Pro to a certain extent. Creative displays and exhibits also, big industry for us. So from an application standpoint, the way that I'd say the application ties into the industries, jigs, fixtures, and tooling is a big one for us. Functional prototypes, as well as end-use parts as well. So we have a really cool display right now of a helicopter blade restraint cradle.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it's a customer of ours, SFF Technology, based out of the UK. They work with Leonardo, a big aerospace division, right? They are creating on the BigRep Pro these end-use parts that are holding together helicopter blades on helicarriers.
Wow.
And they're using a BigRep Pro for that.
That's really cool.
Very, very cool. Yeah, no, they do some awesome work. So we have some of those on display just to show that even with thermoplastics, right, with FDA or with FFF printing, you can create something that's going to be used in that sort of capacity.
Especially in a high-performance application where, in a helicopter, you want to make sure blades stay on. Yeah.
Very important. Yeah, exactly. So, the validation for that and everything that they would put through is it's incredible. Yeah, great work.
Yeah, amazing. It's cool to see you guys kind of straddling everything from the art type exhibit where it's like a very creative work to a different type of creative work where it's very engineering and hard industry focused. So that's amazing that the whole spectrum is being covered under the BigRep platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's again, it's a testament to our customers, right? Because for them, they are what influence our products, what we want to go forward with, and it's incredible what people will do when you give them
The right tools.
the right tools to be able to do that. Yeah, exactly. So it's exciting.
That's amazing. Awesome. All right, so we're here now with Musa from
Yeah.
BigRep.
Yeah.
What do you do at BigRep?
So I am an applications and service engineer with BigRep. I've been with BigRep for about 2.5 years now.
Okay. What did you do before BigRep?
Before BigRep, I was just playing with 3D printers and doing the usual college stuff,
Okay.
Enjoying all that.
Nice. Well, not a little more than the usual, right?
Oh,
you were
yeah,
actually
yeah, I was
building
high
high
tech machines.
Machines, yeah.
All the whatever the newest thing was, I just
Yeah.
latched onto it. Core XY, all the fun stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's so cool to see in this industry that you can sort of tinker
Oh, yeah.
and have direct hands-on experience and then leverage that into a professional
It's
career.
nice. There's a low barrier of entry, luckily, for getting into 3D printing.
I don't know that it's a low barrier. I think you got to be pretty smart. You got to be pretty sharp, but certainly it's accessible.
Yeah, enter freeze, all that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So you've got this amazing new machine here.
Yeah.
What's it called? And tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is the VIIO. We're fairly proud of this. This is our now third generation of the Studio, but it's very different from our usual Studio machines. We've basically, through the years of speaking to our customers about what they liked about the Studio machines, what they didn't like about the Studio machines, we've kind of conglomerated every piece of advice and request
Feedback,
of
yeah.
all of our feedback, really, and kind of just laid all of it out on the machine and basically done everything. So we're talking
Amazing.
about going from basically a Marlin and smoothie board architecture to independent Z motors, full mesh bed leveling, an encoder so you can actually measure how much filament is flowing and not just clogs, and
It's true feedback, right?
True clogging feedback and all of that.
Well, that's closed loop, right?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of closed loop machines really on the market,
Yeah.
and so it's cool to see full closed loop architecture from a control standpoint, especially when it comes to clogging.
And another big thing for us was also the slice engineering hot ends. Coming from the old hot ends that we were using, this kind of adds a level of reliability and, a broader range of materials that anyone can use and work with on our machines.
Awesome. What materials are you guys running?
Oh, so we'll basically run any material that'll go up to 300C. So we
300
max
Celsius.
out around PA12CF, PA66, those kind of materials. We have no problem with glass fiber, carbon
Right.
fiber, any of that, of course. But that's about the upper end. And we don't really lock anyone into anything. We have a portfolio of materials that we like to use generally, that BigRep will say, hey, these are the ones that are really great for our machine. But
Right.
at the same time, as long as it fits within our specs, you're welcome to use whatever you want
Awesome.
on the machine here.
That's cool. And you guys have pre-built profiles for your own
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
materials, right?
Yeah, so generally speaking, we have fairly well pre-built profiles for most materials that you would use commonly. So that includes basically your PLAs, your PETGs, nylons, and those are ours. And they're fairly similar to what's on the market. So even if you were to use a third-party material, you can get pretty far with our preset profiles already. Yeah.
That's very cool. You've got two hot ends on this machine, so talk to me about that and how those work in tandem.
Yeah, so it's not independent dual extrusion. A lot of people look at it and they're like, is it independent dual? It's not that. It's basically two extruder assemblies with independent linear actuators. So you've got your ball sensor, which is always at the static point, and then it'll raise and lower whatever extruder is required for printing when it's required.
And what's the benefit of that?
The benefit of that is it's one less failure point. As soon as you add an independent axis for your second extruder, that's especially on an industrial machine, we're seeing print jobs of a week, 2 weeks. Our customers expect these things to be reliable and just kind of go nonstop.
Keep going, yeah.
So we don't really want to add an independent axis for that. So basically having it on the same axis, it has a little bit of weight, but it lets you have one less failure point, essentially. We still do the prime towers and all that sort of stuff, but past that, we have fairly good success with dual extrusion of all kinds, not only for support material, but live joints, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I imagine support material integrates pretty seamlessly in the slicer, and you guys can run all sorts of parts with support and the main print
100%.
material.
And while you are, capable of using any slicer you want, Blade, or Blade based on Cura, is very, very good on this machine. I mean, it has all the usual things you would expect out of Cura, you know, Arachne, it's fairly well updated with all of that. But at the same time, you get, as you mentioned, the whole spec list of materials that are ready to go. But to add on to that, it also knows all the tolerances of your machine. So if you want to set up like a bunch of parts just to print one after the other,
Like a big sheet. Yeah.
exactly, you don't have to worry about the tolerances of your gantry and everything. It's going to take care of that. It's going to know how far to space those parts out so that you don't have any crashes or anything like that. Yeah.
What are you guys doing for print surface?
Yeah, so it's a similar to a G10. It's not exactly a G10. It's sort of like our own version of a Garolite print
Okay.
surface. But we have a couple different types. We have like a Nilo print surface, which is more ideal for like nylons. And then we have this switch plate prime, which is, in my opinion, it's perfect. There's very few materials that don't like this print surface. And all of the ones that we print on it, we don't even use glue anymore. I mean, it basically stays on the bed as it's hot, and as you would want it to. If you wait for it to cool off, the part will just slide right off the bed.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
for big parts, that's a big deal for us.
Right.
To not have to worry about bed adhesion.
Yeah, that's huge.
Oh,
One, that reduces warping, the opportunity for warping, obviously, and then secondly, removing a big part from a large bed is a
Yeah.
huge pain in the rear.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it doesn't come off well.
Yeah, and in the worst case, it is spring steel, so if it's really on there, you can
Right.
always take the sheet out and just
Okay.
kind of bend it, and
Yeah.
it'll come off. And to speak to anti-warping, one of the biggest things, in my opinion, that we've added to this that our previous machines didn't have is just the chamber heating. Now, you're not going to put peak or ultim on it or anything.
Sure.
But it'll keep you at a steady 50 degrees Celsius when required, so anything like ABS, ASA, anything that's going to be a little bit difficult is now a lot easier on this machine.
Yeah, and you guys have a solution for the higher temperature printing stuff. It's the
Exactly.
280. Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
Cool. So walk us through kind of how the HMI works and what you guys are doing here.
So HMI is fairly expansive. It's fairly easy to use.
Good.
Generally speaking, as you can see over here, it's going to ask you what material you have in it, and that's kind of playing into a lot of the features we added onto this that have to do with automation. So it'll ask you how big is the spool, it'll ask you, what material is it, and if you're using blade, it'll basically do a bunch of checks and balances to figure out, is this going to finish with the spool you have in it?
Okay.
If not, it'll say, hey, maybe you should have 2 spools in here, and it'll automatically switch out once that other spool runs out. Or you can use that feature to just kind of get rid of old spools that are never finished.
Yeah.
You've got basically one screen here with your options, as you can see here, for example, in this material cabinet, you've got the 1 and the 2. As you can see over here, we've only got 1 loaded, so you have 1 empty slot right here. And then you've got all your options for basically chamber heating, you've got your options for the actual bed temperature and your hot end temperature. We have a queue system now, we didn't used to do that. We also have a much bigger file size.
Jobs queue.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you can have basically a queue where you can keep track of all that, and then you can have your job list. So this helps a lot. We had a lot of feedback from just, these are industrial machines. They're getting used day after day after day by sometimes multiple operators, and kind of keeping all of your jobs organized is a big deal. So having this system helps a lot out with that,
Amazing. Yeah, that's not something you see often on the printer.
Exactly.
Yeah, very
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically you send it to the queue, you can start printing it out. And as you can see here, we've taken care to basically, write out exactly how many kilograms are going to be
Right.
required. We try to make it really easy for anyone to kind of plan out a job because, again, in an industrial setting, these things matter a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So control-wise, we have a fairly intuitive control screen. You've got your general access control, which while printing kind of shows you this, which is sort of just a live feed of where it is. And my favorite feature of this is, you see this little gray box around
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Now you know where to put your magic glue. If you did want to put magic glue,
Right.
or you did want to put any of that, you could
That's
prep
cool.
the build surface if you really wanted to.
Awesome.
Got your independent tool head control. If you want to calibrate your flow rate or do any of that, you're not happy with what the automatic flow rate did, you want to do it yourself, that's all still available and possible. And then the big one
Wow.
is bed calibration.
That's
so
cool.
if you want to run a bed map, and depending on how unlevel the bed is, if you want to compensate for that, if you want to run a fade height for that, it'll do all that. And then on top of that, it'll also tram your actual, gantry to the bed if it's beyond what it would
Right.
usually want to do.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for walking us through that.
No problem.
You guys recently switched for on this generation machine to the slice hot ends.
Yes.
Why did you guys make that switch?
Well, I mean, speaking again into the whole industrial space thing, we don't lock anyone into any material. So you need to imagine that there's a whole range of different PLAs, there's a whole range of different PETGs, and you can't always control for which PETG and which PLA is going in. So we needed a hot end that can kind of, it's just going to push through. It's not going to be sensitive, it's not going to complain about this or that, and it's not going to have heat creep or any of those issues. We wanted a hot end that is highly efficient and just kind of ready for anything. So that's why we went with the slice engineering hot ends. Our old hot ends just weren't up to the task. With these hot ends, it gives us a lot of headroom, not only on flow, but on reliability. And that's the kind of headroom you need on a machine where you tell people, print whatever you want with whatever material fits the temperature, requirements.
Right.
Wow. So that really opened up quite a lot of possibilities for us, and it adds a lot of trust into the machine, especially when you're looking at a job that might take a week or more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And you had some personal experience with slice before that, right?
Yeah, I mean, building a lot of, high temp machines and trying to go faster and faster and stay reliable at the same time. I've been playing around with your hot ends for a while, so I have a lot of personal experience that tells me this was a good choice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for supporting us for all these years. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for supporting my build.
Yeah. So talk to me about applications. Where do your customers use this machine?
This machine specifically, because of its size, has quite a few niche applications that I think that have expanded and become bigger and bigger and bigger over time. The biggest one that I've seen is automotive. Reason being, a lot of people don't want a giant machine in the office, and a lot of automotive industries, they don't just have a giant shop floor just for 3D printers. They want something that can get their parts done but isn't going to take up excessive space. They have other machines that are doing a lot of other work for them that are not 3D printing related. So this one, I've seen it all over the automotive industry, especially for resto mods, interior panels, even some exterior panels and mold making. And the biggest reason for that, I think, has just been not only the size, the fact that it's a rectangular build volume. I mean, imagine it as a square, it's tall, but as soon as we got a rectangle, now we can angle our parts, now we can put a whole center console into it, all of that. And just the fact that it's enclosed for automotive customers who want to print something like ABS or ASA for that UV resistance and all that sort of stuff. If it's going into a car, the enclosed nature of the machine helps out a lot with that.
And you can't hear it running at all.
That's a big one.
Smell the ABS.
That's a big one. And I have to say, the automotive customers that I've installed this machine for, they have it in their office.
Right.
As you said, it's a quiet machine.
Yeah.
Past that, automotive is the one that I've seen the biggest splash in, but our machines in general are extremely wide bandwidth of use cases. And that is specifically because we don't really lock anyone into a specific material or use case generally, and our training is use case specific. So I've seen use cases for this in a lot of tool holding applications, specifically for CNC shops and all of that. Brackets, all of that sort of stuff really. Not so much furniture. Furniture is kind of our bigger machines, but beyond the bigger stuff, I've even seen this specific machine used to create, so when you release a car, you want to make the whole vehicle kind of out of plastic first. You want to make the shell of it. And you'd think, you want to use a bigger machine, but no. This machine performs very well for that, especially when your panel's very thin. You want a machine that's fully enclosed and is going to support that thin panel. You don't want it vibrating at the top.
Right, or warping.
And all that. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Musa, for walking us through the machine.
No problem.
Very cool to see this new one on display. Obviously, cool for me to see our hot ends on it.
Cool.
And great that you brought your pre-BigRep experience into this. So amazing. Thank you for walking us through it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Jason, thanks for giving us the whole tour of the booth and talking about BigRep. Tell us where people can find more. More information.
Absolutely. So, of course, you can go to BigRep.com. That's where all of our products, software, materials, everything is listed. Be able to find case studies and see again how some of our customers are using the BigRep platform. Here in North America as well as globally, we primarily sell BigRep exclusively through channel partners, right? So global channel partners across Europe as well as North America. You'll also be able to find BigRep products there, as well as in Singapore and in the APAC region.
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah.
Real, true global reach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we want to be close to where our customers are, and really partnering with some of the value-added resellers in each region helps us to do that, helps us to provide on-site support that they need, right? And so, yeah, they're what make us so successful. So our value-added partners, you can get in contact. Here in North America, we have a Boston office or a Boston location just outside of Boston, so that's where we have our part lab as well. So for validating parts, you can send in a benchmark. We have our team, our support team also is based there. So any questions about how to use the products, they're the ones who would be able to walk through everything with you.
Seems like very technical support, right? Where they can get really into the details on the nitty-gritty engineering side. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And then everybody kind of brings that engineering focus to it to really make sure that they understand. Yeah.
Fantastic. And I assume people can find a list of your resellers on your website, right?
Yes. Yeah. So doing a quick Google search, yeah, you'd be able to do that.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, well, thanks everybody for tuning in to the BigRep video. We're really excited to be partnering with BigRep on this platform that's being shipped globally across the world. So stay tuned to learn more about BigRep and check out their website.
Thanks, Dan.
Jason.